Hello YouTube, this is Own Soldier 86 coming back to you with another tutorial on how to make levels in Super Smash Bros. 64. And this is going to be part 16 where we move on from textures and now we start to talk about modeling. And this is actually pretty exciting. What we're going to do is we're going to use a program called Google SketchUp. And this is where we might run into a little trouble for anyone that's using this program in the year 2020 or later. And the reason I say that is because I've been using Google SketchUp ever since it started, way back in the early 2000s. And luckily enough, I still have some older versions of it back when it used to be freeware. And the free version, I think, went all the way up through 2015, I believe. I believe it was Google SketchUp version 8. And then it got bought out by a different developer, and now it is a payware version that you can get these days. And I wish I could, but I can't. I can't tell you guys how to get the freeware versions anymore. I will say that they do exist, and there are methods of finding them, but I will not share those with you because that would not be legal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on with the assumption that you are able to find a source of the Google SketchUp program, whether it be the payware version or an older version that still might exist out there in the outer space of internet. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about what we need to do to make sure this is all set up too. First of all, I am using an older version, and so the plugins here, what we'll need is we'll need two plugins. This is add-ons that are for Google SketchUp, and an older plugin that I have is the OBJ importer and the OBJ exporter, two different plugins. If you need help trying to figure out how to do plugins, Google has a wonderful tutorial series on YouTube for any of the new versions, as well as some users have had tutorials on YouTube as well about how to add in plugins for older versions. Again, that's something I'm not going to dive into because that is something that you're going to have to do a little bit of research on your own. But you will need these two items because the files that we are going to export and import are OBJ. And that will be different from the standard format that Google SketchUp uses, which is something like SKP or SKB. In any case, what we are going to do, though, is I'm going to do a very quick demonstration on what I will do to create my first sort of blocks that will serve as the building blocks for our level. And what I'm going to do is go up to this rectangle tool, and I'm going to drag out. And if you notice in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a size indication by the meters. And what we'll want to do is make sure that when we start a new model, that we have our design ready to go in decimals and in meters, as well as precision to 0 meter and snapping at 10 meters. And the reason why that is because these models tend to be pretty big. And I mean, in the context of Google SketchUp, big could be anything. It could be 2 centimeters or miles, but we're going to be using meters. And on average, we're going to use the calculations that assuming that 64 by 64 pixels will equal 800 by 800 meters in Google SketchUp. So in other words, like that box texture I had saved a while back that was 64 by 64, we're going to plug in and type in 800 by 800. Okay. And we are going to push and pull the tool here to create ourselves a square, 800 large. And we are going to add a material. And to do that, we're going to go to the materials list here, click on this plus sign. Again, this has kind of an assumption that you already know how to use Google SketchUp to some sort of capacity. Tutorial series online will be your best bet to help you get used to using this interface. We're going to find that Mystic texture box, open. We're going to create this box, 800 by 800, and we are going to create our box. There it is. And I'm going to stop really quick so that we can talk about more modeling in the next video.